Hi, my name is Chelsea Sauer, and I'm a Regional Program Director for KESM, so you probably know me better by my KESM name, Dottie. This welcome video is designed to get you acquainted with KESM and answer any questions you might have about our program. Over the course of this video, I'll be walking you through my role here at KESM and giving you an idea of what I do for each chapter that I oversee. We'll also be discussing KESM's history and model, as well as our values and policies. So let's get started. How did I choose the name Dottie? It's from one of my favorite movies of all time, A League of Their Own, and the main character's name is Dottie. I'm so glad I chose that name because I think now more people call me Dottie than call me by my real name, Chelsea. I graduated from UCLA in 2017 with a degree in sociology and education, knowing I wanted to work with kids in the nonprofit sector. Here I am, luckily. I'm really passionate about KESM's ability to put our values into practice, which we'll talk about in a minute. My favorite KESM memory, I don't know if this is more a memory or a feeling, but this summer I went from one of our largest chapters to one of our smallest chapters back to back, and something that so impressed me was the continuous KESM magic between the 2 weeks. Whether it was 130 campers or 7 campers, the feeling of community was the same, and it made me fall in love with KESM even more. So now I'm going to talk about some fun facts about me. One of my favorite foods is hard-boiled eggs, very closely followed by ice cream. I drink at least 1 cup of coffee every single day. 1 is a conservative estimate. And I've been to summer camp every single year of my life since I was 5 years old. So there are some things about me. So what do? I work with 9 chapters in Southern California to help them through the year. What does that mean? Well, I meet weekly by video conference with chapter directors, and I offer them guidance, support. We plan together. I also visit and do an in-person training in the fall to help train our coordinators. And then throughout the year, I work with our coordinators, camp advisors, and professional staff to continue that learning and support. I also lead and support sessions at our National Leadership Summit in November. And then throughout the year, I provide at the chapter level some major event support and reviewing relevant materials for those events. So I'm involved with Make the Magic planning at a chapter level, as well as Friends and Family Day, camp planning, and any other events that happen throughout the year. I also provide some behind-the-scenes year-round support to ensure your chapter is meeting KESM standards and programming goals. Some of that you see and some of that you don't. So who's in the SoCal squad, aka the Polka Dotties, aka the League? Just depends who you're talking to. So we have some of the oldest chapters in the country as well as some of the newest, which I'm so proud of. We have UC San Diego, UCLA, USC, or University of Southern California, CSUN, otherwise known as California State University Northridge, the Claremont Colleges, Chapman University, Loyola Marymount University, or LMU, and our 2 brand new camps. Now we're going to talk about KESM's history and model. KESM is a nationwide community driven by passionate college student leaders that supports children through and beyond their parents' cancer. A program of KESM, Camp KESM, operates free summer camps for children who have been impacted by a parent's cancer. Camp KESM was founded with 1 chapter in 2000 and now has over 117 chapters in 42 states across the country. There are 5 million children impacted by a parent's cancer. This past year, we served over 8,800 children, with our goal for 2019 to serve over 10,000 children, because we are always looking to climb closer to that 5 million mark. At a chapter level, this is what our student leader structure looks like. We have our directors that I meet with weekly, and they oversee a coordinator team of 6 or 7 positions depending on the chapter. We have our treasurer who works on our finance and budgeting, outreach coordinators who work on recruiting and stewarding our camper families, operations coordinators who work on planning our through and beyond support programs as well as summer camp. We have our volunteer coordinators who recruit and train our student leaders, our development coordinators who are in charge of our fundraising efforts, Make the Magic, which is one of our fundraising events, as well as our AMP coordinators, who work on alumni, marketing, and PR, which is what AMP stands for. We also have our task force committees at a chapter level. And our task force committees work on project-based work throughout the year to support our coordinators. We also have general members who are part of KESM, which can include our coordinators, directors, task force committee members, as well as anyone who wants to be a part of KESM. We have over 35 full-time staff members of KESM who are working to support our camp programming around the year. We have our operations team, which is focused on risk as well as creating high-quality programs. Our brand team, which helps us stay consistent even though we have 117 chapters pushing our message. We have our alumni team, which helps steward our more than 5,000 alumni nationally. Our development team, which helps with events and fundraising, and our finance team, which helps us with budgeting and other finances. We also have alumni, both regionally and at a chapter level. We have our advisory board, which is made up of individuals in a local community who provide year-round support and guidance to the chapter. They help create and facilitate a connection within the local community that helps with camper outreach, fundraising, student leader recruitment, you name it. We also have our professional staff who are recruited to support both our campers and counselors during the week of camp. That consists of our camp advisors, which we have 1 to 2 per camp, which is representative of Camp KESM National that helps us oversee our week of camp, nurses, 2 or 3 or camp, depending on the size, and mental health professionals, which we have 1 or 2 of at every camp session, depending on the size as well. Now we're going to talk about KESM's values and policies. So KESM's values, which you may formerly have known as our KESM operating principles, have been revamped and reevaluated to form our values, which are in a 3-tier system here. So I'm going to start from the bottom with our permission to play values. Our permission to play values are our minimum behavioral standards required for everyone to participate in KESM. So this is at the very least the values you need to be upholding in order to be a member. Then we have our aspirational values, which are the values we're constantly working towards. We're trying to get better. These are our goal values. Then we have our core values. These are the values that are inherent to KESM. So these are the things we make our decisions off of, the things we pride ourselves on being. So our core values are that we are optimistic, we leave a lasting and positive impact, we empower others, we care deeply about the work we do, and we're grateful. So what do those values look like in action? I'm going to talk about some of our policies that you can read here. I'm going to say some more details about them that exemplify us putting our values into action. So our anti-harassment policy is that KESM strives to maintain a culture in which people are treated with dignity and respect. For that reason, KESM will not tolerate any unlawful harassment, discrimination, and/or retaliation. For reporting, directors who have allegedly witnessed or been the target of harassment should repeat this to the program director. All other student leaders who have allegedly witnessed or been the target of harassment at a KESM-related event should report this directly to their directors, who will then report it to their program director. Student leaders can also send an email to our umsbudperson@kesm.org email address, which you can find in our All Member Standards document. Our social media policy. KESM recognizes that our staff and volunteers may feel compelled to express personal views on social media, that many KESM staff may be connected to constituents, including volunteers, camper families, and donors on their social media channels. We ask that all staff and volunteers take the following steps to separate their personal social media activity from KESM as an organization. It helps to add a short statement to your About section on your bio for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. that says, "All views expressed here are my own." We also ask that you refrain from engaging in direct, sensitive discussions with KESM constituents on social media, as well as refrain from implicating KESM in discussion of sensitive topics or posting about sensitive topics on KESM-related forums. In general, sensitive topics include politics, religion, etc. Our driving policy. All employees are expected to follow applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations regarding the use of cell phones and smartphones at all times. Use of a cell phone or smartphone while driving is not required by the company. Safety must come before all other concerns. Some key driving policies are, well, here's a summary. Drivers should have a minimum of 7 hours sleep prior to driving, more than 3 hours. Driving time is limited to a maximum of 8 hours in one 24-hour period per driver. Drivers will not drive under the influence of any drug or alcohol, or will not have had an alcoholic drink 8 hours before driving, which leads us to our alcohol policy. In general, alcohol is not necessary for custom events and should not be present. However, some exceptions, such as Make the Magic or National Fundraising Event, can be considered. Alcohol will not be provided for consumption at a custom event unless it is approved by the program director before the event. Volunteers will not consume alcohol at custom events unless it is approved by their program director before the event. Consuming alcohol within 24 hours of the first day of camp is strictly prohibited. Our contract signature policy. Students should not sign contracts under any circumstances. Contracts should be forwarded to your program director, which is me. Confidentiality. Only release info to names and emergency contacts listed in the application. That includes not giving the roster out to our families. If a family reaches out to ask if another family is attending, we unfortunately cannot give that info unless it's okay with the family. Our diversity, equity, and inclusion statement of beliefs and principles. This is an abridged version. CASM's mission of supporting children through and beyond a parent's cancer, and our vision of ensuring that every child impacted by a parent's cancer is never alone, can only be realized through an ongoing, steadfast commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in every part of our organization. All employees and volunteers of CASM have a responsibility to treat others with dignity and respect at all times. They are expected to exhibit conduct that reflects inclusion during work, at work functions, on or off the work site, and all other company-sponsored and participative events. Any employee or volunteer found to have exhibited any inappropriate conduct or behavior against others may be subject to disciplinary action. Now I want to take you on a deep dive of our DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion commitment. CASM recognizes that we still have work to do, which is why DEI is one of our aspirational values. Our DEI work is a multi-year process that every member of our organization can contribute to. Over the past year, we participated in a program with other organizations to evaluate how we can do better at this. We gathered student and family feedback through interviews. During fall training, you'll see some changes to our resources and learn a little bit about some of the things we're planning to do this year. So how do we define diversity, equity, and inclusion? Diversity is the unique differences among individuals in a group based on which we may be treated differently in society. Ethnicity is not the only way in which we are diverse as a group. There are countless visible and invisible facets of diversity. Furthermore, a person cannot be diverse, as in a diverse candidate, for example. Equity, an approach that ensures everyone is given equal opportunity. That means that resources may be divided and shared unequally to make sure that each person has access to an opportunity. Equity takes into account that people have different access to resources because of a system of oppression and privilege. Equity seeks to balance out that disparity. Inclusion, embracing, leveraging, and celebrating the strengths of our diversity and ensuring everyone feels welcomed and valued for who they are. Inclusion is not merely tolerating differences or overcoming differences to focus on our common humanity. Diversity is what we are, and inclusion is what we do. For other terms and resources, please see the DEI recommended readings linked in the All-Member Guide at the end of the PowerPoint. Now we're going to talk about CASM standards. What are they and why do we have them? CASM standards serve as a list of requirements that each chapter must observe in order to make CASM a meaningful, fun, and safe place. Some standards apply specifically to camp. while others relate to activities outside of camp. These standards are reviewed and updated every year. Additionally, as needs arise throughout the year, there may be some instances where additional standards are added or existing standards are altered or removed. This year, custom standards have been revamped and broken out into a few categories. All member standards, which include all members, including coordinators, committee members, counselors, general body members. Everyone at your chapter must comply with these standards. These will be graded by your chapter directors and reviewed by me, your program director. All coordinator standards. These standards apply to the Camp custom coordinators at your chapter in order to uphold priorities of their role. These will be graded by me. And your to-do tracker standards, which can be found at the top of the to-do tracker tab of each coordinator workbook. Each item is required in order to uphold efficient and beneficial chapter management and finance processes. A point will be counted for each to-do tracker standard that is marked as yes, signifying that it's complete. A link of the full and complete list of standards can be found on the appendix of this slide. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to meet everyone at fall training and talk about all this exciting work. Thank you so much.